Having been a devotee of some wonderful masters who actually passed on, some spiritual experiences occurred and some fire within happened. I'm coming now to find some form of practice to help settle things down. It just feels like something energetically happened that's very different, and I don't know what it is. And I'm just trying to find someone like you who would know and could advise me.
There are any number of people who have come to spiritual experiences by different means, either by being in touch with a certain person or even just going to certain places, being exposed to certain situations, or just accidentally out of their own life situations. For some reason, let's understand the science of what's happening fundamentally. What is it that we are calling as spirituality? The way the creation is right now, from what you call as, let's say, a rock, which is gross solidity, to what you call as plant or animal or human, or what you refer to as divine. What is this? In every possible way, every system in the world has been trying to insist that it's the same thing, isn't it? Though you don't believe any of them, at least now, whatever the scientist says, you believe. Scientists are also saying the same thing. Recently, it was very amusing for me to meet a very top-level scientist in United States, and we were just talking, and everything that I say, he says, "That's right. That's what the science is also trying to get there, but we are not clear about it. What you're saying is right." I said, "It has to be. If science says something else, science is wrong." So, what is happening to this is, from gross to subtle, it is the same thing. This happened to me many years ago. As I said yesterday, at one time, just after my university, I set up a farm. And I did this farm almost completely on my own. A lot of it I physically worked and built the whole thing. And I had to paint the farm. So, I'm in the family I'm an outcast because I'm doing something that they're not very happy about. So I'm running on a real bad budget. So I want to paint it, paint is expensive in the shop, so I went and bought ordnance paint, the military paint. It's bad quality, but it's available in large quantities. So I got myself ordnance paint. The only color that they had was farm blue. That's not the color I wanted to paint my farm. But that's the only color they had, and I had to paint it. Before the bank people came for the inspection, it had to be painted. So I said, okay, let me paint it farm blue. Tomorrow, when we have the money, we'll paint it something else. So I am the painter, and it's a long surface to paint. If I go like this, it'll take too much time, I don't have that kind of time, so I devised my own way, put it and just walk along the wall. From this end to that end to this end, dip it and walk, holding the brush to the wall. I just took the first stroke and just walked. Sure, it came out thick. As it went, it became, lighter and lighter and lighter. I just looked at this and burst into tears. And I just sat there for many hours, I didn't paint. Because for me, the whole creation was right there in my experience. This is all the whole creation is. Just like a paint smear, from gross to subtle. That's all it is. What you call as a rock, what you call as the ultimate divinity is the same thing, but subtle. This is gross. So this human being has broken away from one level of existence and not yet reached the other. He's here. Out of his fear and out of his longing to survive and preserve himself, he tends to make himself like a rock. But the moment he becomes like that, there is something within him which doesn't like it. It wants to go somewhere else, to the subtle. This is the struggle that the human being is going through. So a spiritual process means consciously taking yourself to the subtle. So this subtlety can happen within you, either because you came in touch with somebody or something, or you consciously built it up within yourself, or simply because of a certain usually strife or dangerous situations for people. When danger arises or extreme strife arises in one's life, a certain intensity can come to life within you, and suddenly what was gross can become very subtle. Just being faced with death can do this to people. Many years ago, I was in Bangalore and I went to a vegetable market. I have a kind of fancy for vegetable markets. Wherever we go into the vegetable market just for the fun of it. Indian vegetable markets are fun, you go there, you simply bargain, you know. They say 10 rupees, you say no, 1 rupee. Then you say okay, 3 rupees, then you say 2 rupees and simply for the fun of it. If you don't bargain, they won't respect you. So we have a kind of fascination for vegetable markets. So I went to a vegetable market. And there I was just walking through, looking and talking to people. And there I saw a man, a vegetable vendor, who is a shining being. I just look at him, I can't believe a man like this is selling vegetable. Then I looked at him and he looked at me, our eyes locked up, and then I burst out laughing. He also laughed. Then I went to him. Then I asked, how come here? Why vegetables? He said, come sit down, so I went and sat in his shop and we're just talking. I said, how come? He said, I was just a vegetable vendor and one day I fell ill. And he fell ill, he had nobody. Somehow he went to a general hospital, which is just like a preparatory for hell. And there he was. Every day he thought he's going to die, his condition was just there. Every day he thought he will die, every day he thought he will die. But he didn't die. They don't let you die. "4 months he was in the hospital, completely bedridden. And after 4 months he recovered. And in these 4 months, constantly facing death, he realized himself. And now he's sitting there like a Buddha in the vegetable shop. So he said, everybody who comes to me, every customer who comes to me, I just bless them with a long illness. I said, what a blessing. Because for him, this illness is such a blessing. This illness has delivered him to a completely different dimension of life. So you should know where to buy vegetables. So it can happen in so many different ways. But the thing is, For most of the people who come in touch with spiritual experiences through contact or through something else, they're unable to sustain it. They go up there and they collapse. When they collapse, everything is worse than before. If you had not seen the up there, then this was quite okay. But now you've seen up there and now you collapse, now it's very bad. You didn't know anything better, you're okay. Now you've known something better, now when you come back here, it feels terrible. So they become miserable, many of them become broken in their minds, depressed. So many people like this keep coming all the time because somehow they burst into some big experience, not able to sustain it, that becomes their curse. Nothing wrong has happened to them. It's just that they saw a different level of life and they've fallen. Now it's very painful. Suppose you are just living an ordinary, a very meager kind of life. Suddenly, you got a lottery, $100 million. 1 year you lived like that and then you lost it. Now it's bad, isn't it? If you had not gotten that, you were just fine the way you were. But suddenly this thing up there and down here, you're not able to take it. That's what has happened to these people. So it's always best that you don't jump into big experiences. It's better you build a staircase and slowly climb, so that there's no falling down. So when we create a proper structure, a proper practice, this is what it means. Every day you keep doing the Kriya, it will slowly build you up. No sudden fireworks, but slowly it builds you up to a certain point where no question of falling down because you've gone up on the staircase. You didn't just jump from somewhere. So the practice, the Shambhavi Mahamudra, will create that situation within you. It doesn't matter whatever has happened in the past, it was good for you at one moment. Now the only thing is you are unable to stay there, you're unable to keep it up. And the system is not ready for that kind of energy. Without preparing your body, if you take this into very high levels of energy, something can easily break. Very easily it can happen to people. So it's always best that the system is prepared before big energies happen to people. That is the whole fundamentals of the physicality of yoga is just that to prepare the body so that when really big time energy happens, you can take it well.
For more on Sadhguru, visit www.ishafoundation.org.